and they don't have any tools, and they're frustrated with something that happened in orientation programming because they were late placed. What we really need to do is actually integrate all of those things. This is the picture of this person right now. If they had a goal and were excited about it and could articulate it, they would feel like they might be this much more, they could be effective because they had something concrete. And so I think that there's just a very big challenge where there are those sort of tick boxes and things to bring it all back up, not just in effectiveness, but in all the other elements of who these people are as people and what drives them.
I think that's so right, and I think the first bullet up there starts to get at that, and so I really appreciate, Rebecca, you're pushing us to get at it even further, which is I think we do need to make sure PDs have a deeper understanding of round zero, because if they have a deeper understanding of round zero, it will allow them to make these more weight and more balanced prioritization choices. But we shouldn't just be thinking through the lens of the efficiency piece, through the effectiveness piece. If we're only thinking about that, we're then seeing only a part of the purpose of our goal. And so I think that purpose setting and that purpose facilitating for our PDs is critical. But then I also think to then help with the very practical efficiency side of things, our PDs just do need a lot more scaffolded practice about how to give feedback and what to do with feedback and the best way to share it, what you do when you're actually having a conversation around feedback, and really to make sure we're normed on the feedback we're giving. It is lots of PDs, we're giving lots of feedback, and we're being, in some cases, they were using good judgments about what type of feedback to be giving, but they weren't sharing that with their peers because they had so many other things to do, or we weren't prompting them to share that feedback with their peers. And so I do think we just need to make sure that in our training, in the region, we will be putting a greater emphasis in this. But I also think there are some very exciting things that are going to happen via a conference, our prep for the conference, and just the online courses that exist right now that are going to set us up to be able to do this better. And so Edwin's going to take us through some of that.
Great. Yeah, and I just wanted to get a quick pulse from the group. I know we've talked about a couple of things in succession. One is just what's happening in the early weeks of round zero. The next is what pitfalls generally are PDs falling into. And then we narrowed down into especially how assessing and addressing deliverables can be a key pitfall or a key difficulty area for PDs. Can I just get a quick show of hands of whether you saw PDs' ability to assess and address deliverables hold them back in round zero last year, whether from an efficiency perspective or from a just moving towards goals perspective? I'm seeing a good number of hands and hearing a couple emphatic yeses. I think that, which is good to know. That is pretty much what we heard from many PDs and program managers early in this year about how, as Samantha was saying, sometimes PDs were spending a ton of time on deliverables. Sometimes it was because they simply needed more practice learning how to assess and address efficiently. And this was one of the areas that we ended up prioritizing for enhanced training this year because we recognized two big themes and what I think we're all pulling out. One is PDs just understanding of the purpose at many levels of round zero deliverables and then the round zero strategies. And then the second was that it's really hard to assess 100 unit plans and assessments and goals in a short period of time. Those goals those skills are going to get so much better if there's scaffolded practice, both in formal training and then I think also if there are opportunities for scaffolded practice and support in the region. So what we did was decide to split apart PD's formal training so that they're going to get basically a 4-hour course which will lead them to assess and think through addressing 2 entire core member case studies. With a huge emphasis on also ensuring that PDs are learning the purpose of the good enough bar and the purpose of each deliverable. They'll have a second in-person session at the conference where they'll practice with another case study, another holistic core member, and they'll figure out how they're going to address that core member. And then I think the lens that you should be thinking about right now is as we begin to explore this course, if you're putting yourself back in the shoes of the PD you originally told, what is going to be hard for you, and what are you going to need repeated exposures to in order to get really good. And so you can take those conclusions to what you're going to start planning for your ongoing training development in round 0. So I am really excited to unveil to you the Round 0 Theories course, which Jenny Beers is the author of, and we owe a huge thanks to the many people on our PD committee who've given us a lot of feedback on all of the content that has gone into it. So we're really excited for you to look at this and also to just see the benefit of a lot of minds coming together on this. I want to underscore before you open up this course that this is still in draft form. There are going to be some links that don't work. There are some documents that aren't yet attached. It's mostly complete, but there are still some shifts and adjustments that we're making. So we'd love to know of anything that you catch, but don't be alarmed if you catch things because we're finishing building it right now. So again, I want you to look at this course to get insight into how we're building PD's understanding of the purpose of all that we're doing with Round 0 deliverables, and then also how and what they're going to be practicing in this course, so you can get ideas about how to mirror, of what you think is effective, how you can plan to mirror it in the region. So you're going to look at 2 parts of the course, and we're going to start with the first, which is you're going to look at the outcomes chapter. In a minute, I'm going to make sure you're set up to log into the course and open it up. Once you do, you're going to look for 2 key areas of the outcomes chapter. You're going to see a slide like this. And you'll want to open up the outcomes book and open up the little sub-chapters until you find Introduction to Evaluating Round 0 Deliverables. And I want you to just skim through that section so you can get a sense for the frame and purpose that PDs are going to learn about the first time they go to address deliverables. Then I'd like you to scroll through the menu and choose one of Andre's deliverables so that you can see the scaffolded way PDs will be learning to assess and then get feedback on their assessments. You're going for sort of a coverage approach rather than mastery right now. I want you to get a sense for what's in the course. So we're going to take 10 minutes for you to do that, and then I'm going to show you how to get to the next part of the course I want you to look at. So again, you're going to the outcomes chapter. You're looking for one deliverable of Andre's and the explanation of the good enough bar. Here's how you get into the course. Hopefully, can I get a quick show of hands if it would be helpful to get a quick tour of how to get into CyberU? Looks like we might be ready. Okay, if you're ready to go ahead and get into the course, please go ahead and do so and start. I'm going to do a quick model up here of how you log into the right spot if you want a little guidance getting into it.